It's all by the kids.
Okay, let's get started. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our CAPA Nova event. Before we start the program, I just want to take 1 minute real quick, introduce CAPA Nova. CAPA Nova stands for Chinese American Parents Association of Northern Virginia. 中文是北美华裔家长协会. We are a nonprofit organization. We started back in 2021, and over the past 4.5 years, we have delivered more than 1,000 different topics, seminars for our community. So I'm very proud to say this is perhaps by far the most active community group in the local area. And one of our major goal is basically the slogan in our background here, 心教为本，共建社区, which means we're going to use education as our platform to build a stronger community together. And I'm very glad that we have Impact Speaking Academic come back again. And Coach Alice has, we have been working together for a long time. And as a matter of fact, Coach Alice is also one of the core team members for CAPA Nova. And she has led a group of students, not only mastered in so many different languages, classical literatures, but also help them to shape their views of the future, the world. And tonight, they're going to give us very special presentation. And this is going to be on a topic which is 100 most influential people in the world. Okay, without any further ado, I'm going to give the stage to Coach Alice and her students.
Thank you, Yan. Tonight's gonna be like the musical chairs with speeches, and I will speak the least because the stage is yours. And I have the great honor to introduce our first MC, Sarah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Wang, and I am your MC for the night. Again, MC is supposed to mean Master of Ceremony, but they call me the Master of Confusion. My hobbies are drawing, studying weather, and playing Pokemon Go. The clouds are very interesting to look at, especially if the atmosphere is more unstable than my mom. Today, we will be talking about the most influential people in history. You may think being influential is changing the laws of physics, making new discoveries, or having the whole world like you. But real influence is getting your siblings to do chores. Since I'm talking about myself, I must already be a very influential person. If I yawn, the whole room yawns, except my cats are the only ones here. Speaking of cats, if you get nervous, just imagine the whole audience as cats. Thank you.
Our next MC is Joy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Joy. I am one of the MC, Master of Coffee. I make sure that you don't drink coffee before speaking. Tonight, we are on a journey through time. No, there's no time machine, just power of stories. We'll meet visionaries who change the world with their words, actions, courage, and sometimes their sheer stubbornness. From empress and inventors to revolutions and peacekeepers, these individuals didn't just witness history, they made it. So buckle up as we step into the lives of the most influential people ever to walk the earth. And who knows, by the end of the evening, you just might be inspired to make a little history of your own.
All right, our third MC for the evening is Eleanor.
Hello, my name is Eleanor. I am your third MC. I am a rising 6th grader, and I'm the traffic director of this speech area. My favorite hobbies are writing speeches, giving speeches, and making money. On to Sarah.
Making money, giving speeches. That's what you told me. Okay, all right. Sarah, you may introduce the first speaker. I think Hannah is on already, and then Grace.
Okay. Our first speaker is Hannah with her speech about Confucius.
Okay, so Confucius, a Chinese teacher, political thinker, and philosopher, lived through political unrest. His philosophy, Confucianism, emphasized ethics, filial piety, social harmony through proper relationships, and good governance. Confucius's teachings shaped East Asian culture by promoting moral behavior and respect for others. Even today, his philosophy is a big influence towards family values and social harmony. Let's start with this saying: do not impose on others what you yourself do not desire. Sounds wise, right? But think about it. If you wouldn't want pineapple on your pizza, maybe don't push on anyone else. If you hate 2 a.m. group texts, then maybe don't send your midnight meme dump to everybody. Confucius basically meant just because you love watermelon doesn't mean that the whole friend group needs to hoard 10 of them. Respect goes both ways. Next, when making friends, keep your word and be trustworthy. In other words, if you say you'll help your friend move, you can't suddenly catch a cold on moving day. And if you promise to just watch one episode, then 5 hours later you're still watching, that's not trust, it's a Netflix hostage situation. And finally, the gentleman seeks harmony without uniformity. The petty man seeks uniformity without harmony. Real friends don't have to agree on everything. You like cats, I like dogs. You drink oat milk, I eat bacon like it's a food group. But we can still laugh, talk, and complain about homework together. That's harmony. On the other hand, if someone says we all have to wear the same outfit every Friday or else, that's not harmony, that's a cult, and you should run. So, in summary, don't force your weird habits on others. Be a loyal friend and celebrate our differences, even if your friend still believes pineapple belongs on pizza. As Confucius might say today, take a chill pill. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Up next, we have Grace with her speech, Confucius or Buying Shoes. Is Grace here?
Yes.
You may begin.
Right, you may begin.
Buying shoes. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to one of the earliest victims of overthinking, the man from Jen, also known as the original fashion disaster. So this guy wants to buy shoes. Simple enough, right? You go to the market, try them on, and boom, you're ready to run a marathon, or at least look cool walking to a tea shop. But not Mr. Jen, oh no. He brought a ruler. Yes, instead of trying the shoes on, he says, I measured my foot at home. He finds a nice pair, but oops, he forgot the ruler. So what does he do? Try them on? Nope. He runs all the way home to get the ruler. By the time he gets back, the shoes are gone, sold, poof. The vendor stares at him and says, why didn't you just try them on? The man and Mr. Jen replies, I trust my ruler, not my feet. Now, friends, this isn't just a warning. This isn't just a shoe story, it's a warning. Don't let rules outrun common sense. If a shoe fits, wear it, measure it, wear it. Don't measure it, graph it, debate it. and trip over your own common sense. So next time you hesitate because that's not how it's supposed to be done. Remember a man from Zen who lost a good pair of shoes and a little bit of common sense for a ruler. Thank you.
Okay, up next, we have Leanne. You may begin.
3 lessons from Confucius that still work today. Ladies and gentlemen, Confucius was a Chinese philosopher who lived 2,500 years ago, but his wisdom is still ringing loud today. Lesson 1. Do not impose on others what you do not desire. For example, do not lie to others since we don't like being lied to. Do not bully other people's young siblings since we don't like that to happen to us. What goes around comes around. If I didn't wash the dishes after dinner, then I can't complain about eating from a dirty plate the next day. Even Confucius knew karma was watching. Lesson 2. When I walk with 3 others, there's always something to learn, and one of them is sure to be my teacher. No one knows everything. If I'm humble and modest, then it is easier for me to learn from people around me. From my friends, I've learned to joke around and have fun. From my parents, I've learned math and Chinese. Even from my little brother, I've learned one important thing in life. Don't be annoying. Lesson 3. Virtue is never alone. It always has neighbors. Confucius teaches that always do what's right, even if you feel alone. In reality, great virtues always attract other great virtues. Good people with good character will attract great people to be friends. It reminds me why I enjoy swimming when my friends are swimming. So, if you remember anything today, be kind, be curious, be virtuous. Confucius didn't invent YouTube, but he knew how to go viral with virtue. Thank you.
Okay, and now we turn to Erika.
Ada Lovelace. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know who was the first computer coder? I bet you 2 quarters that you don't know who. It is Ada Lovelace from England who lived more than 200 years ago. Before there was Siri, before there was Google, yes, even before my grandparent had his first calculator, there was Ada Lovelace. Now, Ada was born in 1815, the daughter of the poet Lord Byron, so naturally people expected her to write poetry. And she did, but in binary. While her dad was out writing dramatic poems about heartbreak, Ada was busy staring at math equations and thinking, what if we could make a machine that thinks? Charles Babbage invented the first mechanical computer. Everyone thought it was just a big, fancy calculator. But Ada looked at it and basically said, this thing can do more than math. It can do music, art, maybe even animated videos. She wrote the first computer algorithm before electricity. She predicted modern computing before computers existed. It was like inventing cakes before sugar and cream. And this was the 1800s, when women weren't exactly encouraged to do anything except faint stylishly. But Ada said, hold my dress. I'm coding Python. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Our next speaker will be Ada with Confucius.
Confucius Lessons by me. Ladies and gentlemen, Confucius gave us some real gems. And no, I'm not talking about fortune cookies. Let's break down 3 timeless lessons that are basically an ancient salad for modern life. Lesson 1. What is the past cannot be corrected. What is to come can still be pursued. It means the past cannot be fixed, but the future is still up for grabs. In other words, stop crying over spilled bubble tea. You can't rewind time unless you're a Marvel character like Doctor Strange, but you can make better choices tomorrow. Lesson 2. Few go wrong by being frugal. Confucius was basically saying, Save your money. You don't need $7 coffee every day to feel alive. Budget like a sage, because inner peace is cheaper than your online shopping cart. Lesson 3. Isn't it a joy to study and review, to welcome distant friends, to not get mad when people don't recognize you? Translation: keep learning, cherish your people, and don't freak out if no one likes your speech. Confucius wouldn't have cared. He was too busy learning and teaching. So in summary, don't obsess over the past, spend wisely, and chill like a gentleman. Thank you.
Thank you, Ada. Our next speaker will be William with a Chinese story. Bitterness makes the best flavor.
Bitterness makes the best flavor. 卧薪尝胆. Gentlemen, boys and girls, have you ever licked something disgusting every single day for 10 years? Well, someone did just that. Today, let me tell you about King Goujian of Yue, the famous royal revenge of ancient China. You see, King Goujian was once defeated and captured by King Fuchai of Wu. Not only did he lose his kingdom, but he had to do chores like cleaning stables. Once King Fuchai was sick, Goujian volunteered to taste the king's royal poop and convince the king the disease would be soon over. This single disgusting and disarming act won the king's trust, 100%. Eventually, the king let Goujian go home, his poor and desolate kingdom, after the devastating defeat. Now, some people would have given up, but Goujian said, I'm going to make a comeback, but first, I need to suffer creatively. So what did he do? He slept on firewood and hay bales. Not only that, no, but also every day he hung a bitter gallbladder above his head. He'd wake up, lick it, make a sour face, and say, never forget the shame. Imagine this, waking up every day and having to lick something really bitter, having that bitter taste and feeling it throughout the day. Better yet, licking 6 times a day, 10 years at a stretch. Imagine again his servants. Good morning, Your Majesty. Would you like some of this tea or just your daily taste of bitter gallbladder? With some of this soy sauce I have. Fast forward a few years. Goujian rebuilt his army, trained his people, plotted his revenge, and finally defeated King Fuchai. Lesson learned? Apparently, revenge is best served bitter. Remember, whenever you fail a test, you can give 卧薪尝胆 a try. Sleep on a pile of rocks and sticks, lick a lemon, or taste the Carolina Reaper, the hottest and most painful pepper in the world, reserved for the darkest defeat. You never know. That Reaper pepper might just connect you to your newfound royal ancestor, King Goujian. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Our next speaker will be Logan with Catherine the Great.
Let's start with Catherine the Great's backstory, because all important and historic people have a pretty interesting backstory. She was born in Prussia on May 2nd, 1729, and she was a German princess whose real name was Sophie Friederike Auguste von Anhalt-Zerbst. Oh, and her name changed to Catherine because of Russian Orthodoxy. In 1745, when she was 16, she married Peter III of Russia, heir to the throne of Russia. But it was said that the marriage wasn't so nice, and later, with the help of her lover, started a coup which led to the abdication and imprisonment of Peter. Peter was later killed in prison. So now Catherine was Empress of Russia, along with her lover Grigory Potemkin. Oof, that was quite a long backstory. And that's not even all of it. She had 3 confirmed children. They were Peter I, Grand Duchess Anna Petrovna, and Alexei Grigorovich Babrinsky. Now, for clarity, we'll make a subparagraph for each child. Peter I's father is either Sergei Saltykov or Peter III. I really hope Sergei Saltykov isn't actually salty. Grand Duchess Anna Petrovna's father is believed to be Stanislaus Poniatowski. But here's the thing. She was born in 1757 and died in 1759. She was 2 when she died. That's a short life. Alexei Grigorovich Bobrinsky's dad is probably Grigory Orlov. I've had it with the stupid names. These people. Be careful. Don't confuse Grigory Orlov with Grigory Potemkin. Okay, now you might be wondering why Catherine the Great is great. She was very important in many things, and again, starting a coup that abdicated Peter. She also supported Western European ideas, and she modernized Russia. She loved arts and literature, and she supported education with all her heart. She also expanded Russia's territory, including the annexation of Crimea and a lot of Poland. There's a lot more reasons why she is great, but I don't have much time. Thank you for listening to me ramble on about Catherine the Great, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Logan. The next speaker will be Anna with the Chinese story of dotting the dragon's eyes.
Hi everyone. Let me tell you a story about dotting the dragon's eyes. My name is Anna Zhang. Let me tell you a story about a man who painted dragons. Yes, dragons, not cats, not flowers, but dragons. His name was Zhang Sengyao, a famous artist in ancient China. People begged him to paint their walls. Please, sir, one dragon on my living room ceiling. So he did. He painted everything except the eyes. Why? Because he said if he dotted the eyes, the dragons would come to life and fly away. Imagine calling someone to repair your kitchen, and he says, "Sorry, I can't finish the last cabinet. It might grow wind and eat your dog." Of course, someone didn't believe him and insisted he finish the eyes. Zhang added 2 dots, and boom! Thunder roared. The wall shook, and the dragon flew off like it had just realized it was late for a very important capital speech presentation. This is 画龙点睛, paint the dragon, dot the eyes. It means adding that final touch that brings everything to life, like the cherry on top of your ice cream, or the one clever joke that finally makes your speech a legend. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Next speaker will be me with Mary Curie. In a lab dimly lit by discovery, one woman's brilliance glowed brighter than radium itself. Mary Curie was a girl who loved learning. She grew up in Poland and dreamed of becoming a scientist. Even when most people told her, "Girls don't do science," but Mary didn't give up. She packed her bags and went to Paris to study hard. She discovered something called radioactivity, which helps doctors treat sick people. She even found 2 new elements, polonium, named after a country, and radium, which glowed in the dark. How cool is that? Mary won 2 Nobel Prizes, like winning 2 gold medals in science. She helped create X-ray machines and showed the world that girls can do anything they put their minds to. Her notebook is still glowing today, not with magic, but with science that sparkles. So the next time you dream big or ask why, think of Mary Curie. She was a real-time science superhero. And maybe, just maybe, you're glowing with ideas too. Thank you. Our next speaker will be Maya with Founding Feathers.
Hello, my name is Mia, and I'm going to be reading Founding Fathers. Thomas Jefferson, the writer, Benjamin Franklin, the clever one, and Alexander Hamilton, the one that's always thinking about money. Scene: July 4th, 1776. A Founding Fathers brainstorm session. A table, a quill pens, scrolls, and powdered wigs. Jefferson, frustrated, holding a scroll. Okay, we got the Declaration. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Check. But now, we need something catchy. A national motto. Franklin, stroking his fake beard. How about no taxation without representation? That one's spicy. Hamilton, counting coins. Guys, come on. We need something deep, something we can stamp on coins. You know, money. Hamilton. Jefferson. Ugh, Hamilton, it's always about money with you. Hamilton. Dramatic. Well, excuse me for inventing the treasury. Franklin, suddenly inspired. Wait, what about in God we trust? The other two pause. Blink. Jefferson. Ooh, that's good. Short, strong, and mysterious. Sounds like we actually planned for this. Hamilton. Yes, perfect cool coins. In God we trust. Because, let's be honest, we definitely do not trust each other with money. Franklin. Or with wigs. I saw Jefferson glue his backwards this morning. Jefferson, adjusting wig. Okay, rude, but look. In God we trust shows we believe in something bigger than ourselves. Hamilton, grinning. And we can still fight about everything else. Franklin. Just like real Americans. All three raise a scroll or quill dramatically. All, in unison, we declare independence. In God we trust. And we definitely do not trust King George. Thank you.
The next speaker can start.
You need to introduce the next speaker. Who's the next speaker?
I don't see the thing.
The next speaker will be Bella Liu, The Power of Inner Strength, Confucius style.
Good day, everyone. Confucius wasn't just a philosopher. He was a great life coach 2,500 years ago. Let's talk about 3 lessons he left us that are still absolutely powerful today. Lesson 1. You can take the general from an army, but you can't take the will from a man. Translation. Even if the world takes everything from you, your snacks, your iPad, your books, don't ever give up your purpose. Your inner drive, that's untouchable, even by Monday mornings. Lesson 2. Only when the year grows cold do we realize the pine and cypress are the last to fade. True strength shows when things get tough. Anyone can be positive in summer, but real character, that's tested in winter or during finals week. Lesson 3. The gentleman helps others achieve goodness, not evil. Confucius is basically saying, be a great cheerleader for others, not the criticizer. Be the one who says, go read. Be your best self. Go grow. So remember, hold your will like a warrior, stand strong like a pine tree, and lift others like a cheerleader. Confucius may have worn robes, but his wisdom still fits us all. Thank you.
Hi, MC. Sarah? Joy.
Next, we have Celia and her speech about Florence Nightingale.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're here to talk about the one,
the only Florence Nightingale. But you might know her better as the founder of modern nursing. Florence Nightingale was born in, I'll let you take a lucky guess, Florence, Italy, on May 12th, to a wealthy British family. Growing up, her father provided her with strong education, including philosophy and languages, which during this time was very uncommon. Her family expected her to marry, but instead, she felt the urge to help people in sickness, so she became a nurse, even with the disapproval of her family. In 1854, the Crimean War broke out, and Nightingale was asked to lead a team of 38 nurses in a military hospital. The environment there was filthy and overcrowded, but Nightingale, she worked tirelessly to improve the environment and treat wounded soldiers. It was during this time where she gained the nickname Lady with the Lamp, because she would go around at night with a lamp to check on patients. Just 6 years later, after the Crimean War, Nightingale opened her own nursing school called Nightingale's Training School for Nurses at St. Thomas's Hospital in London. Florence Nightingale significantly impacted the world through her life-changing work in nursing, sanitation, and data analysis, being the first person to use a pie chart and to use statistics to advocate for patient care. She revolutionized hospital care, particularly during the Crimean War, creating ways to keep the hospital more clean and reduce mortality rates. Her work also allowed nursing to become a respected job for women. In conclusion, Florence Nightingale changed the way nurses worked by creating new ways for hygiene and patient care. And as she said, live your life while you have it. Life is a splendid gift. There is nothing small about it. Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Benjamin. Is Benjamin here?
Move on. Sarah, can you move on?
Okay. Next we have Xin Liang with Jesus Christ.
In a world of acrimony and division, Jesus stepped in, not to exacerbate the pain, but to engender healing, hope, and unity. He wasn't infatuated with power or privilege. Instead, he sought out the emancipated, the broken, the outcast, those society placed in caves of despair. His love was not ambivalent. It was fierce, exorable, and insatiable with pursuit of humanity. He spoke to the indigenous, the foreigner, the Pharisee, and the prostitute alike, not to condemn, but to prioritize a kingdom not of this world, one where love reigns and pride sees. His message sparked affinity among the poor and poignant discomfort among the powerful. The religious elite saw his teachings as a threat to their control, but even sensation, even death cannot silence him. And now, centuries after, that same love still lives. It's not just a story in stained glass. It's a call to stop feeding hate. It's to not let fear was, and to remember that grace, through freely given, often come at a cost. Jesus didn't just speak truth; he was truth. And once you encounter that kind of love, it becomes impossible to remain unchanged. Thank you.
The next speaker is Robert. 尾边三绝
Confucius wrote the book, 微边三绝. Let me tell you a wild story about the ancient Chinese teacher Confucius, the sage who basically invented wisdom and noodles. Okay, maybe not the noodles, and writing without Google. Here's the reason that I spend at least 1 hour a day to read 论语, Confucius Analects. It's a book written by Confucius' disciples about Confucius. So once upon a time, way before the computer was invented, Books weren't made of paper. Nope, they were made of bamboo. Yes, like my favorite snack during Halloween. Bamboo. I mean, panda snacks. People would write books on bamboo strips, tie them together, and bamboo. You made a book. You had a book, heavy, clunky, and you could literally kill a person with the book. Confucius was a bookworm like me. He really loved reading. One day, he got this ancient Chinese story called The Book of Change. He couldn't stop reading it, not because it was a page turner with thrills and mysteries, but because it was very confusing. Even Confucius was confused. Confused Confucius? Are you serious? The #1 sage of all China was confused? Wait, what? What do you do when you get confused? Nothing. Give up and do nothing. Is the answer of most people in the 21st century, but not Confucius. Instead of giving up, he read it again. And again, and again. In fact, he read it so many times, the leather strings holding the book fell apart. Snap! The book exploded into like Jenga blocks. Did he cry? Nope. He just tied it back together and kept reading. Then snap! It broke again. Did he take a break and eat dumplings? Nom, 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 nom. Nope, he fixed it and read more. 3 more times this happened. But Confucius like, nope, wisdom waits for me. So people started saying he had 微编三绝. He broke the leather binding now 3 times because how insanely diligent he was. Now imagine if Confucius was a kid today. He'd probably break his Kindle from rereading the same ebook too many times. Wait. Low key, aka honestly, I can't find the rest.
Thank you, Robert, for sharing. Okay, we'll recover that later.
Our next speaker is Serena with Thomas Jefferson, the Declaration of Independence.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about one of the oldest group projects in history led by Thomas Jefferson, the Declaration of Independence. In 1776, 13 American colonies set the British Empire. You're not the boss of me. King George was taxing everything. Tea, paper, your cousin's iPhone. Wait, they didn't have iPhones in 1776, but you get the point. And the colonists had enough. So Jefferson wrote a letter, but not just any letter. This was the Declaration of Independence. It starts with, when in the course of human events. In today's English, Dear King George, buckle up, we are going on a wild ride. Then came the famous line, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Jefferson goes on to list 27 complaints. 1 star was the argument. The king does not return our calls. And finally, Jefferson ended the letter with, we have to go back to each other and say we're not. Which means either starting a new country or we die. Fingers crossed. And so this wasn't just a declaration. It was the ultimatum. Because of Jefferson's ultimatum, we now have the United States of America. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kelly with Buddha.
Okay. Let's be honest. Most of us try to find happiness in snacks, sleep, playing video games for 3 hours straight. But Buddha, he found happiness by sitting under a tree for 49 days. That's not just patience, that's legendary. Buddha means enlightenment. Before he was the Buddha, he was Prince Siddhartha, rich, pampered, living in luxury. But one day he went outside the palace and saw aging, sickness, and death, and said, "Whoa, cancel my spa day." So what did he do? Gave up his wealth, shaved his head, and started meditating. That's right, he gave up palace life to live like a poor person. Except instead of instant noodles, he had enlightenment. Now most people panic when life feels empty. Buddha, he said, maybe the trick is realizing everything is supposed to be empty. Boom! Mind blown. Enlightenment unlocked. He taught middle way. Basically, don't binge, don't starve, just chill. He's the reason your yoga teacher tells you to breathe and let go of your attachment to your ex or your phone battery. Buddha said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. To understand everything is to forgive everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Our next speaker will be Teddy with Thomas Edison.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I am talking about Thomas Edison, the man who gave us light. Without him, I would be writing this presentation in darkness. I have a question for Thomas Edison. What went off in your head before you invented the light bulb? Edison was born in 1847 in Ohio. He is known to be a prolific inventor. He's known to be a prolific inventor. He set the world record of the longest to-do list, 1,093 patents. Everyone thinks he invented the light bulb, but he didn't. He only enhanced the light bulb. Several people already made versions of light bulbs. Edison just made one that actually worked longer than a sneeze. In another word, Edison didn't invent pizza. He just added cheese and improved the crust, and made sure it didn't explode while you were eating it. Though he did invent the quadruplex telegraph, which could send 4 messages at the same time. Let's talk about his work ethic. The man said, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. In other words, get back to work, nerds. Edison once said, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work, which is a fancy way of saying, I blew up my lab again, but it's okay. Once he fell asleep while standing and had a dream of an idea, and he made the phonograph after waking up. Last time I tried sleeping while standing, my grandpa called 911. In short, Edison is a prolific inventor with the world record of the longest to-do list, 1,093 inventions. He has an incredible work ethic. He inspired me to think differently. For example, if I get an F on my English test, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways to connect with Shakespeare. Thank you.
Thank you, Teddy. Our next speaker will be James with Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will celebrate the man who made computers stylish, phones smart, and black turtlenecks fashionable, Steve Jobs. He wasn't just the co-founder of Apple, but part inventor, part artist, and part intense boss with a flair for dramatic exist. Born in 1955, adopted and raised in California, Steve had a knack for electronics and ignoring authority. In 1976, Steve started Apple in a garage with Steve Woz. Moral of the story: never underestimate a nerd with soldering iron and a dream. Apple brought us Apple II, the Macintosh, but then, plot twist, Jobs got kicked out of his own company. Imagine inventing the party and then not being invited. Did he give up? Nope. He started Next and bought Pixar. Yes, that Pixar. So if you cried during Toy Story, thank Steve Jobs for your emotional damage. Apple begged him to come back. He returned with iMac, iPod, iPhone, iPad. Basically everything that started with an I. He probably made it convenient. We couldn't live without him. But let's be real. The guy was a bit intense, and yet He changed the world. He believed that technology wasn't just for Greeks, it was for everyone. He once said, "The people who are crazy enough that think they can change the world are the ones who do." Crazy or not, he did. So here's to Steve Jobs, the imperfect genius who taught us to think different and also to charge our phones constantly. Thank you.
Up next, we have Hannah in her speech about Helen Keller.
Hannah, are you ready? All right, moving on.
Okay. Our next speaker is Sherry with her Chinese speech.
Hi everyone, today I will tell you a story about a startled bird. A startled bird. Long ago in the very space period, there was a general named Geng Lei, and he was so good at archery. He once shot a bird without an arrow. Yes, no arrow, just pulling the string. Bong! The bird heard it and just died mid-air. Why? Because it has already been shot before. It was what we call in Chinese 惊弓之鸟, a bird scared by the sound of a bow. Now, we all have a little startled bird inside us, don't we? You hear from Coach Alice, speech time, and you're so late to your body. Or your mother says, can I ask you something? You immediately dive under the table yelling, what did I do? The truth is, past trauma makes us flinch. The key is not to avoid balls forever, but to realize not every string is aimed at you. So next time life goes tong, don't panic. Just take a deep breath and remember, you are not a bird. Besides, Archer might be an amateur. Thanks, everyone.
Up next is Benjamin.
Stephen Hawking by Benjamin Long. Stephen Hawking was a man who literally knew how the universe worked and still somehow had a sense of humor about it. He's a guy who was diagnosed with ALS in his 20s. The doctor said he had maybe 2 years to live, but then he lived for over 50 years. He couldn't move, couldn't speak about a computer, but his brain was doing gymnastics while most of us struggled to find our iPads. Hawkins was out there explaining black holes, timers, and writing books like A Brief Time of Time, History. A book so brilliant that everyone bought it and no one finished it. He was once asked how it felt to be the smartest man alive. He said, I have no idea. Ask my wife. If I met Stephen Hawking, I would have asked him, is a white hole a thing, the opposite of black hole? And yet, let's talk about his voice, robotic and monotone. Yes, somehow, still funnier than most stand-up comedians. But if you give a speech with that monotone, guess what Coach Alice is going to say? She will scream, stage voice, please, vocal variety, guys. So yes, Stephen Hawking explained the secrets of the universe, but he also reminded us, even in the darkest black hole, there's still room for curiosity and a good laugh. And Stephen Hawking once quoted, life would be a tragic if it weren't that funny. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Xingming Wang. Xingming with Jesus Christ.
So, let's talk about Jesus, the original miracle worker, carpenter, and walking contradiction. He was a diminutive man in stature, but spiritually, a heavyweight champion. Now, Jesus came to ameliorate human suffering. And how did people respond? Some followed him, while others berated him. And few tries to circumvent his message with legal loopholes and gotcha questions like lawyers on a caffeine binge. He fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish. That's not our past. That's divine catering. And let's be honest, most of us can't even get a Chinese carry-out order right. Some call his miracles heresy. Heresy? As if healing a blind man on the Sabbath was worse than your uncle watching football during church. As if, heaven forbid you ameliorate someone's infirmity. How profane. Jesus taught love, compassion, and forgiveness, which sadly meant he had to deal with a lot of compunction. 3 people doing very dumb things and expecting him to condone it. Forgive them, Father, he said, probably while thinking, but maybe take a break from forgiving Judas just for a minute. He was big on parables. But holy emphasis, instead of saying, don't be a jerk, he'd say, love thy neighbor. Same message, more poetic. He'd say, turn the other cheek, which is great until you realize you're out of cheeks. Jesus didn't view people as expendable, even tax collectors. That's right, he hung out with the IRS agents before it was cool. He flipped tables at the temple, not out of rage, but out of justice. And in the end, Jesus paid the ultimate recompense for humanity. Not because he had to, but because he chose to. And that, my friends, is not servitude. Thank you.
Our next speaker is William in his speech about Nikola Tesla. You may begin.
Nikola Tesla. Ladies and gentlemen, today we honor Nikola Tesla, the original man who gave us AC, Wi-Fi, radio, and the refrigerator. Tesla was a brilliant inventor, engineer, and possibly part wizard. He spoke 8 languages, slept only 2 hours a night, and claimed he got the best ideas from visions, which is just genius speak for daydreaming with lightning bolts. While Thomas Edison was trying to light the world with light bulbs and stubbornness, Tesla was like, why not power the world with invisible energy waves? Then he built a tower to send electricity through the sky. Unfortunately, though, he ran out of money before he could make it very successful. Tesla's ideas were so ahead of his time. He imagined radio stations that could transmit messages wirelessly, smartphones before phones even had cords. And when he was asked if he would marry, he basically said, I'd rather date science. At age 86, Tesla died in a New York hotel, alone, in debt. Tesla was not your typical engineer. He was also a futurist with a crystal clear ball, aka his eyes and his remarkable vision, through which he could see future that we are living in now. Elon Musk named his electrical car company after Tesla because Musk admired Tesla for his AC discovery. I admire Tesla because he did all those things alone. Once he said, be alone. That is the secret of invention. Be alone. That is where ideas are born. Maybe you should say that to your sister when she is constantly bothering you. Please leave me alone. That is where ideas are born, according to Nikola Tesla. Thank you.
Next, let's welcome Lily. Is Lily here?
Charles Dickens was born in 1812 in Portsmouth, England, a place known for ships, sailors, and apparently future literary legends. But don't let the mustache and fancy portraits fool you. Dickens didn't exactly grow up sipping tea and writing poetry in a garden. Nope, his childhood was more like a bad plot twist in one of his own novels. His father was thrown into prison for debt. In young Charles, he had to drop out of school and work in a factory, pasting labels on boot polish. Imagine going from grammar homework to glue duty at age 12. But Dickens didn't just survive it. He turned those life lemons into literary lemonade. He went on to write some of the most iconic books in English literature, including Great Expectations, Oliver Twist, and A Tale of Two Cities. You know, books where orphans suffer, villains sneer, and rich people get emotionally wrecked. Classic Victorian drama. What made Dickens special? Well, besides inventing characters like Scrooge, he had a magical ability to roast society politely. He criticized poverty, injustice, child labor, and schools where learning came second to surviving lunch. But Dickens wasn't just a writer. He was a one-man social revolution with a fountain pen. He gave the poor a voice, made readers cry, and probably scared government officials. His influence goes far beyond literature. For more than a century later, the themes he wrote about are still deeply relevant. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sarah with Galileo Galilei.
Let's talk about Galileo Galilei, the man who looked up at the stars and said, "Hey, maybe we're not the center of the universe." And the church replied, "That's nice, now say you're sorry." Galileo was basically a science rebel. While everyone else was saying the Earth is the center of everything, Galileo peered through a telescope he built himself with a lot of stubbornness and said, "Actually, it moves." He finds out the Earth revolves around the sun. Now, just like that, he went from genius to heretic faster than you can say heliocentric. Now, Galileo wasn't just a stargazer. He also dropped stuff off the Leaning Tower of Pisa, just to see what would happen. That's right. While other people were admiring the architecture, Galileo was chucking cannonballs off in the name of science. He also basically invented the scientific method. Ask a question, run an experiment, write it down, and get arrested. Yes, he was put under house arrest for probably the rest of his life, which, to be fair, sounds bad. But in a 16,000 Italy house arrest probably included pasta, wine, and a pretty nice view. And despite all that, Galileo never gave up. He kept writing, discovering, and whispering, and yet it moves. So here's to Galileo. You cannot teach a man anything. You can only help him find it within himself. Does that mean I have the secrets of the universe inside me? Guess I'll find out one day. Thank you. Our next speaker is Joy.
Moses. 天将降大任于斯人也，出自于孟子告子下第15则。原文如下：生于忧患，死于安乐。君子告子下第15则。瞬发于犬母之中，复跃举于板柱之间，交葛举于鱼蒙之中。管夷吾举于市，孙叔敖举于海，百里奚举于市。Shun rose from working in the fields. Fu Yue was selected while laboring with bricks. Jiao Ge emerged from the business of fishing and salt. Guan Zhong was promoted while imprisoned. Sun Shuao was recognized from the sea. Bai Li Xi was chosen from the marketplace. 故天将降大任于斯人也，必先苦其心志，劳其筋骨，饿其体肤，空乏其身，行拂乱其所为，所以动心人性，增益其所不能。人恒过，然后能改；困于心，恒于虑，而后作；终于色，发于声，而后语。Therefore, when heaven is about to place a great responsibility on a person, it always first tests their willpower, makes them suffer physically, exposes them to hunger and poverty, and disrupts everything that they do. This is to stir their hearts, strengthen their patience, and build skills they previously lacked. Only after making mistakes can people learn to improve. Only after experiencing inner struggle and mental hardship do they create new ideas. Only when frustration shows on their faces and in their voices do they truly understand. 入则无法家，服侍；出则无敌国外患者，国恒亡。然后之生于忧患而死于安乐也。A nation that has no wise minister at home and no threats from abroad will surely fall. Only do we realize hardship gives birth to strength and comfort leads to destruction. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Final speaker, Robert.
Archimedes. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me tell you a story about Archimedes, one of the greatest minds in history, and perhaps the only scientist to ever shout Eureka while completely naked in public. Everyone has heard about Archimedes, right? He was a Greek mathematician, inventor, and definitely a genius over 2,300 years ago. He didn't just think outside the box, he calculated the volume of the box and then took a bath in the box. Here is the famous bath incident. Basically, the king asked the goldsmith to make a crown with the gold he gave to him. But after the crown was made, the king suspected that the goldsmith might have put some silver in the crown and kept some gold for himself. The majesty couldn't verify the case, so he gave the hard job to Archimedes with one catch. He couldn't destroy or melt the crown. Archimedes struggled to solve the problem. One day, he went to the public bathhouse. Then he noticed the displaced water as he submerged himself under the hot bath water. Staring at the displaced water as he submerged himself under the displaced water might be the weight of my body. Then he did something inconceivable. That's when he yelled, Eureka! Which is Greek for I got it. Then he ran through the streets without clothes. So yes, he made a legendary scientific discovery and quickly confirmed the king's suspicion. The crown was made with partial silver. As the goldsmith was duly punished, Archimedes became famous beyond his wildest imagination. I am still talking about him whenever I take a bath and water spills out. But Archimedes later on also invented the screw structure that took water uphill. But Archimedes didn't stop there. He also built war machines that could hurl boulders, set ships on fire with mirrors, and defend entire cities with physics. Basically, he was Superman, but in a toga. The lesson of the story: never underestimate the power of thinking in the bath. When you can't figure out long division, take a bath. But I do recommend putting on a towel first before you run out screaming, Eureka! Thank you.
That concludes our speeches for the night. I want to thank all the speakers and our MCs, and back to Yan.
All right, bravo, bravo. All right, congratulations again to all the students. Great job, and I have learned so much from you. And again, your presentation is not just educational, but also a lot of fun. So again, thank you, everyone, and please keep up the good work. And hopefully, we will see you again. I know this is kind of late already, and we will end the session for tonight. And thank you, Coach Alice. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night.
Bye, people.
Good night and bye.
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 Good night.
Have a nice day.
Why am I still pissed?
Bye.
Go take a bath.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.